Whether it's a plant bending towards the sun or an animal leaping out of harm's way, every living thing needs a command center. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the incredible high-speed networks and chemical messengers that control and coordinate life itself.
Seriously, think about it for a second. That reaction is faster than thought. So how in the world does your body pull off this life-saving trick without you even having to think about it?
Well, that crazy fast reaction, it's all thanks to a super sophisticated, high-speed network. So come on, let's trace that one little danger signal all the way from your fingertip to your muscle, just to see exactly how it all works.
Okay, first up, we're diving into your body's fastest responses. And this has nothing to do with you deciding to do something. Nope, this is pure survival. It's like an emergency override that's built right into your wiring.
This thing is called the reflex arc, and honestly, it's the body's ultimate shortcut. It's a survival mechanism because in a life-or-death moment, waiting for your brain to consciously figure out the danger, well, you just don't have time for that. The motto here is simple: act first, think later.
Okay, so what's so cool about this is the flow. A receptor in your skin basically screams, hot. A sensory neuron zips that message to your spinal cord. Now here's the kicker. The spinal cord, acting like a local field commander, doesn't even bother the brain. It immediately sends a move command right back down a motor neuron to the muscle. You pull your hand away before your brain even really processes the pain.
But how does that message travel so dang fast? It all comes down to the messenger itself. Well, it's time to meet the fundamental unit of this entire high-speed network, the neuron.
So this little guy is the neuron, the absolute building block of your nervous system. Think of it like a piece of biological wiring. The dendrites are like little antennas picking up signals, and that long axon is the cable that zaps the message on its way as a tiny electrical pulse.
But here's where it gets really wild. Neurons don't actually touch each other. There's this tiny microscopic gap between them called a synapse. So to jump that gap, the electrical pulse actually has to morph into a chemical signal. It releases these things called neurotransmitters that float across and spark a whole new electrical pulse on the other side. It's like a lightning-fast chemical relay race. And that tiny little chemical leap, that is literally the foundation of how we learn and form memories. It's kind of everything. All right, so reflexes have the emergencies covered. But what about, everything else? For every other action, from walking and talking to just feeling hungry, we've got to go upstairs to the main command center, the brain.
So the brain is basically juggling two huge categories of tasks at all times. On one hand, you have the voluntary stuff, the things you choose to do, like having a conversation. On the other hand, you've got all the involuntary actions you never ever have to think about, like your heart beating. And these are all handled by different parts of the brain working tirelessly in the background.
And this right here shows just how critical those background processes are. The medulla, that's your life support system, running everything from your blood pressure to your breathing without you even noticing. Meanwhile, the cerebellum is your personal balance coach, making sure your movements are smooth and you don't just tip over when you stand up.
Okay, so we've got the nervous system, right? Think of it like a super fast hardwired internet connection. But the body has a whole other way to communicate, and this one is less like a direct cable and more like a massive Wi-Fi broadcast.
But here's the thing, those electrical impulses can only travel along specific nerve pathways. They can't just get to every single cell. So how do you send a message that affects the entire body all at once and lasts for a while?
Well, you use a totally different system. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have the nervous system, targeted, ridiculously fast. On the other, the endocrine system. It uses chemical hormones, so it's a bit slower. But its messages are broadcast through your bloodstream, reaching cells all over your body for widespread, long-lasting effects, like growth or mood changes.
So let's meet a few of these chemical messengers. Adrenaline, that's your fight-or-flight gas pedal for when you need a sudden surge of energy. Thyroxine, which actually needs iodine to do its job, sets your body's overall metabolic speed. And insulin, it's the master manager of your blood sugar.
So how does the body know when to turn the tap on or off for these hormones? It uses this really elegant system called a feedback loop. Take insulin, for example. You eat something, your blood sugar goes up. The pancreas sees this and sends out insulin. Insulin tells your cells, hey, open up, time for sugar. So the sugar level in your blood drops. And then the pancreas senses that drop and says, okay, job done, and eases up on the insulin. It's just this perfect self-correcting cycle.
Okay, so we've seen how animals use nerves and hormones for control. But that brings up a really cool question. What about plants? They don't have a nervous system, yet they clearly sense and respond to their world. So, how do they pull it off?
I mean, this is a seriously cool question, right? How does a sunflower follow the sun across the sky, or a little vine find a fence to climb, without a single neuron or muscle to its name? Well, it turns out they have their own elegant solutions.
It turns out, plants have basically two main moves in their playbook. You've got the fast, super dramatic stuff like the touch-me-not plant that uses rapid changes in water pressure to instantly fold up its leaves. And then you have the much more common way they move. Slow, steady, hormone-driven growth.
These slow-burn movements, they're called tropisms, and they're all about growing with a purpose. Shoots grow towards the light for photosynthesis, that's phototropism. Roots grow down with gravity for stability, that's geotropism. They'll even grow towards water or curl around things they touch. It's basically movement through really strategic growth.
And who's the conductor of this slow-motion orchestra? Plant hormones, of course. You have hormones like auxins that are basically the go signal, promoting cell growth to bend a stem towards light. And you have others like abscisic acid that act as the whoa, hold on signal, slowing things down during times of stress.
So when you step back and look at the big picture, it's just incredible. From the near-instant firing of a neuron to the patient day-long turning of a sunflower, you see that all life, literally everything, is in this constant conversation with the world around it, sensing changes and responding in these amazingly sophisticated ways.
And really, that's the key takeaway here. Control and coordination, as our source material says, is the master system that ensures all parts of an organism work together smoothly. It's what transforms a simple collection of cells into a single, cohesive, living thing.
So, from that instant reflex arc in your hand to a sunflower patiently bending towards the light, the ability to respond is really what defines being alive. It makes you wonder, what's the most incredible example of this that you've ever witnessed in the world around you?